I can see it. Yeah, Howard, yes. Yes, he's signing the book. He's signing.
That's what we want, Lavender. That's what we want. Great.
So Jim got to know Linda, and I got to know Linda.
I still remember her last. Nana said she didn't play. I'm afraid to laugh. I'm sitting right now. You're fine. Oh, you're so warm in here. Yeah.
I took the wrong sheet.
Hi, Father.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Very long.
Is Mona here? Where do we reach her?
How are you?
She wants to know about Mona.
Is Mona okay?
Yeah,
Is she where?
she's at Hendersonville Health and Rehab.
Oh. Is that on Thompson Street?
It's over by the Blue Ridge College.
Oh, yeah. Between hospice and next to me.
Yeah,
Okay, I know now.
yeah, she seems to be happy there and likes it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, look at his brother.
I do. I do. One of her birthdays, we had a great many of them. It's nice to see you. Sorry, it's nice to see you. I never talked to you. Well, that's nice. That was her favorite color. She gave me this blouse, or rather limited.
She said, amen. Amen. I thought she was saying amen because you were saying I know, but I thought she was saying amen first.
Welcome to everyone for the celebration of life, Grace, Anson, Berray.
So, Charlie?
We appreciate everyone who's come out today to help us remember the life of Grace. I want to point out that after the celebration here, we'll adjourn to the country kitchen where we have some refreshments available for everyone.
Could you start again? Because not everybody can hear the back because they're talking inside.
Welcome to everyone. Thank you very much for coming out for the celebration of life of Grace Anson Berray. After the celebration here is complete, we will adjourn to the country kitchen where we have some light refreshments. If you don't know the way to the country kitchen, just follow the crowd. Some of you here who, like Grace, are very familiar with the kitchen. Let us begin with prayer. Blessed is the spot and the house and the place and the city and the heart and the mountain and the refuge and the cave and the valley and the land and the sea and the island and the meadow, where mention of God hath been made and his praise glorified. Amen.
Amen.
This is my sister from Baltimore, Maryland. And she just said, I should have done transparent. I'm so short. And happy.
We're just glad to be here today, and we want to share with you a song called When the Roll is Called Up Yonder. We will ask you to sing with us on that last stanza, okay? Thank you so much.
Can I add one thing before you start?
Sure.
When my mother turned 100, she let me know how she wanted her memorial service to be. She said, I'll be buried without ceremony, and then here's what I'd like. And she mentioned 3 songs. She said, I want it to be joyful, uplifting, and she mentioned a couple other things, but she kept it simple for us. So this is really by design today. This is Grace's design for her memorial. And by the way, thank you, David Cardin was.
It's our pleasure. Grace meant a lot to me personally.
Thank you. And I'm sure to us all. So, let us begin.
When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, the time shall fade in the morning, and the morning rest eternal, bright and fair. When the saints on earth shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll of wisdom yonder will be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. On that bright and clouded morning, when the dead in Christ shall rise, and the glory of his resurrection share, when the chosen ones shall gather to their home beyond the sky, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there.
sing.
When the road is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there.
The scriptures that have been chosen are John chapter 14, 1 to 3, and 2 Corinthians 1, chapter 1, verses 3 through 4. John 14, 1 through 3. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God? Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions, and if it were not so, I would have told you. I go and prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, there I prepare a place for you. I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 through 4. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our afflictions, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by our God. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading and the meditating of his word.
Amen.
Unfortunately, you're not able to follow the program because of some illness that has affected her ability to play. I have known Grace for about 35 years. That's about 1/3 of her life. What shenanigans she pulled in the first 2/3 of her life, I do not know. But I can tell you this, she liked to be in charge. And she always nearly had a twinkle in her eye. She didn't spend too much time on the heaviness of life. She wanted things done right, her way. And woe to anyone who would cause her to be late for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. She had an indomitable will to remain active. When I first met her, she was about 71. She could see the day ahead and she would need a walker. Seeing the inevitable, she doubled down on exercise and managed to stay on her feet until she fell and broke her hip. Ooh. As time went by, she moved from a walker to a wheelchair. But regardless of the inconvenience, she adapted. She made the best of her situation. Exercise and keeping busy was her way of coping with the aging process. Since childhood, she took up piano keys. She played for people confined to nursing homes, for birthday parties, and just for fun. She had the knack of making any piano sound like an old-time player piano, much to the delight of her listeners. She had a lovely contralto voice. She sang her heart out in the opera Under the Stars. It is in Opera Under the Stars in Rochester, New York. She sang in the choir and as a soloist in Calvary Baptist Church in Rochester, and in many rest homes for the old and the sick. No one could avoid tapping their feet, singing along and smiling when she played. Her years were filled by a commitment to arts and crafts. Initially, she expressed her creativity by drawing. More than a few of her drawings became cherished gifts to her family. Next came knitting, crocheting, and handcrafted hats that were marketed throughout the area. When arthritis took away her dexterity, she turned to scrapbooks, many of which were given as gifts to her favorite dentist or mailed to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. In all of her physical struggles, Grace maintained a joyful spirit. I recall one day last month, when she shook hands with me. I was proud to demonstrate what a powerful grip she had. All those years of exercise and lifting weights gave her energy and the capacity to put down most aging men in arm wrestling. Grace did not show much fear of death. In fact, when she reached the point of being unable to exercise and work on any of her art projects, she told me and nearly everyone else who would listen that she was ready to go. She startled one of her doctors last November when she said, "This will be the last time I see you before I'm gone." She made it clear to her family that she wanted to keep things simple when her time came. She actually signed a contract with Shepherd and Son and paid for her own funeral at least 30 years ago. She had a plan for her end of life. She wanted to make it easier for Linda, just a simple burial with no embalming, a brief graveside service, then in a few weeks, a memorial service with 3 hymns and a brief 15-minute talk. I wanted to be bright and uplifting, not sad and dreary. Does anyone have a stopwatch? We're going to stop in 15 minutes. We don't know what might happen. People of faith, it is appropriate to turn to our sacred writings for strength and encouragement in the face of death. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 4. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to dance, a time to weep. I'm sure this must have been a favorite Bible passage for Grace. It reminds us that both our actions and the timing of our actions are important. Some of us may feel that dancing would not be appropriate for a funeral. But in some cultures, dancing is a central part of a funeral. Funeral dances have their own spiritual meaning. They all bring people together to grieve by celebrating the life of the deceased through performing a meaningful dance in her honor. No, Grace, I'm not going to dance. But I'm sure if I did, the heavens would echo with your laughter. The author of this passage in verse 11 gives us a clue to a deeper meaning. God has made everything beautiful in its time. The right activity at the right time can be a healing and transforming event. People may be ignorant of God's timing, but they are all called to enjoy life in the present and trust in the mystery. I ask you to bear with me. My voice is not always perfect. The author of this passage in verse 11 gives us a clue to the deeper meaning. God has made everything beautiful in its time. People may be ignorant of God's timing. Who would have thought anyone would live to be 100 to 70? We are called to enjoy life in the present moment and trust in the mystery. John Shelby Spong, in his book Eternal Life, A New Vision, describes a childhood experience where he encounters death for the first time. We had a small aquarium in our living room, he says. I was fascinated by the darting, colorful fish, seeming so content, just swimming in their pool. They were lively little creatures coming to the surface with what looked like puckered lips to eat the food sprinkled on top of the water. One day, however, when I went down to breakfast, I stopped to look into this aquarium, and one of those little creatures was floating on top of the water. I had never seen that before, and I had no idea what it meant. My immediate response was to get my mother's attention. Without much conversation, in a matter-of-fact way, she dipped a little net into the water, drew out the inert body, and carried it away. Things die, I learned that day. When they die, they disappear. Here today we remember Grace Berray. She died, and when she died, she disappeared. Some of us saw her body, but that was not the Grace we knew. Her consciousness, her spirit, lives on in our hearts. Where there is music, our children view her little handcrafted picture books. Whenever we recall her quick wit and capacity to win at upwards, she lives. And I can hear her laughter because Grace knows the secret. Sing I'll Fly Away.
Play just a couple of bars of it before we close.
Thank you, all of you, every one of you, so much for being here today with us. And so remembering my mother, Grace Berray, and honoring her life, and as she wants to honor us. Because today, I know that she would want this to be a time of inspiration for each one of us, as she was in life. That this would warm each one of us and encourage each one of us to go on with our lives, do the very best we can with this, our own works of art. That's what each one of us is. And that would pay tribute to her life. If we can each go away feeling warmed, inspired, and encouraged to take care of, to enter the rest of our days. I want to thank Gary Pritchard. He's a quiet kind of guy, but I'll tell you what, for the past 34, 35 years, he's been there if Grace needed anything, if I needed help with my mother, he was always there. And I just want to give you a hand. You've been an unsung hero, but not today. You're a sung hero. I found something that I wrote to my mother May 14th, 2006, and I thought, I'll read it today. Dear Mother Grace, you have given me so many precious gifts, and I think some of us can identify with this. The first is the gift of life, and an example of courage and forbearance in the midst of health problems, which she has given me. And the knowledge that it is good and important to share one's talents and skills for the enjoyment and upliftment of others. And that music and a positive attitude are part of the stuff of life. And that it is important to create beauty, order, and peace in one's own corner of the earth. I appreciate and love my mother so very much, and thank God for her on this Mother's Day. With love, your daughter, Linda. Even now, I'm realizing more and more the enrichment, the richness that even in the harder times with my mother, when things weren't so easy, weren't so comfortable, that I still learned. I learned about strength. I learned about who I was and who I wanted to be. And I learned more about love. I'd like to, I don't think we mentioned that she was also a poet. On a Sunday morning in May of 1980, my mother, this was probably before church, she had gone out to her garden. She was an early riser. She loved her daylilies and all her flowers, and she took such inspiration from them. We all know that she was a very directive person sometimes. She really knew what she wanted, and she really knew what she didn't want. But there were also times when Grace would just let go. It was in her music. She just loved it. She was so passionate about music, so passionate about her flowers. And this shows it. It's called Daylilies. I arise and make my morning rounds in happy anticipation. Each day a new one to greet and be greeted by. Like seeing friends, no matter if shoes are wet with heavy dew. Some pale, some boldly marked with rosy rust, with yellow. Flutings, with yellow flutings. How delicate and fragrant. Somehow these are special, taking precedence over their longer blooming contemporaries. I think as I retire at night, how many will greet me on the morrow? If they could speak, what would they say? Fresh and glowing, will they ever know how much they are admired? On tall, straight, sturdy stems, they look out upon a troubled world. But oh, what peace I feel to have such beauty close at hand. I will end with her words.
Thank you.
Nobody above.
Hello, everyone I haven't met, and those I have. My name is Mark. I'm Linda's son, Grace's grandson. I'll speak a few words about my memories of Grace and what I saw that was inspirational in her. Grace, I guess my earliest memory of Grace was visiting her as a very small boy in Rochester, New York. Visited their house with my parents. The things I remember from that trip were big enveloping arms, a cuckoo clock that seemed to be made out of magic, and sugar cinnamon toast in the morning, which was just awesome. Probably because it had way too much butter. But sort of set my taste buds on a path. After that, I remember visiting in Florida after they moved to Florida when I was about yay tall, and being able to run around in the sun and look with amazement at the chameleons and the alligators, riding Grandma's three-wheeled tricycle, you know, all around the mobile home community. Very nice place. My grandfather trying to teach me to play golf. And again, big and folding arms and good food. You know, being in Florida, there's a lot of grapefruit with sugar and cinnamon. And I remember how gracious she was about the bass that I brought home from one of the ponds. Which being a little girl also visiting her grandparents caught after a lot of splashing around and broken lines and basically throwing it up on the shore with our hands. Delicious, delicious. It's after that, came visiting her when I became a young adult, after high school, before I went into the Marine Corps, I decided that I would visit my grandparents in Florida, you know, before I left for boot camp. And excitingly, I got to take her and Grandpa over to the local middle school and bed down because I managed to time my trip to coincide with a hurricane. That was pretty interesting. I think it was Hurricane Andrew. It's my first and only hurricane so far, anyway. I've managed to dodge the ones that have rolled through the southeast recently. And then finally her time in North Carolina, which I think are the three places, the best that she lived. It was the closest to nature. It had the birds that she loved, the flowers that she loved, the climate that she loved. And I came down and spent 10 years here. And my parents obviously came down and spent the rest of their time here. And I'm very grateful that Grace was able to be here and be with everyone, and make so many friends, and spread her own internal grace around the community. Grace lived for slightly under 107 years, which is an amazing number. She went from the Model T to the Tesla. She saw world wars, police actions, fortunately not in person. She saw the first movie pictures. Now we have 3D and 4K. She's seen so many changes in her life. A complete revolution in how people live, and she rolled with it. You know, as all of us have had to do in this room. Roll with the changes. Grace, when people are around, was always at her most cheerful and happy. She really thrived on human interaction. Her dark times were when she were alone. So for all of you who spent time with my grandmother, thank you. Thank you.
My name is Eric Dowdy. I am the other grandson. And for any of those that have the privilege of having a sibling, now you understand why it's so hard to follow them, because they always want to do something that makes it harder for you. But in the spirit of everything going on, we're eternally grateful as a family. You know, I thought a lot about interactions and things throughout my life where I, remember Grandma, all the letters she wrote, the times we shared in Florida, not being able to open the mobile home door because there was an alligator up against it. Or the first time I was ever attacked by the army ants riding that tricycle. Oh.
I think I had more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I learned my life experiences through Mark's interpretation of how they should have been. But in the interest of kicking everything that I had thought about talking to you all about to the curb and being in the moment,
Yeah, Charlene will help.
it's all right. I'm grateful. And Grace did something.
Hey.
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. Grace united things. Hope y'all can hear me. She united pain with joy.
Amen.
She united. She crossed racial lines. She overcame the way she learned to see people and decided to choose the path of right and righteousness. Because we're only products of what we learn. As children, all we know is love and joy. And then life sometimes wants to teach us things like hate, indifference, inequality. We have all had the privilege to be in the space of a spirit that has chosen to overcome and see life and people the way God intended. She's a healer. She was an instrument of healing. And it happened through music and art and interaction. Bossy, commanding, entitlement. But she did it from her heart. And when you were loved by her, you knew it. So, united is the term that I'm remembering her by. And it's something that we all have a choice to take with us and continue to unite. Sometimes that uniting, it only happens when you travel across the world to reignite or unite. But sometimes it's just about getting on your knees and be uniting with your source. And then you take that and then you give it to those near you. We unite through family. Sometimes, and what I've learned in my life, and I'm sure many of you all too, because the Spirit is here today, that family is sometimes more than having the same last name. It's a behavior, it's a conduct, it's a respect and admiration. These are the opportunities we have today. And we can forever be grateful because as Dad Gary said, the body died, but that's all that died. Grace, as all of our ancestors are here with us right now. So let's live this day as if they're all watching us. And let's treat everybody we come in contact with in a way that they can be so proud of what they lived and died for. Thank you all for coming. And thank you for sharing love with one another. That is what would have meant and still means the most to Grace. Thank you.
One of Grace's favorite songs, Sweet Mystery of Life.
calls for time for sharing. Unfortunately, I think we've run out of time. But we're going to adjourn to the country kitchen where we'll have an opportunity to speak with one another. And thank you all for coming. And my thanks especially to David Fardulis. I wanted you all to see who he is. So some of us may be getting close to the time when we could think about assisted living. He's the man to talk to.
This is not the time to talk about it. We're celebrating Grace's life, and I want to say thank you for coming. And I met Grace back, I think it was in 2005, I believe it was. And what a joy she meant to me. I was here for a number of years, and I tell you, sometimes when I walked in, if I wasn't feeling up to par, had some negativity on my shoulder, so to say, I could look her out or seek her and would know after I left her that I would be feeling much, much better. She reminded me a lot of my mother. I told Linda that. So she just became very endearing to my heart. And I know she's in a better place. I know her spirit is still alive and smiling on us and smiling on everybody here. And I want to say again, thank you. I appreciate you all coming, and I think there are some treats or something in the country kitchen. So thank you.
We have one more song.
One more song, Grace's favorite hymn.
I'll fly away.
No, glorious things.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
First couple of
Robert W. Berray, Bobby, Bob. He was unable to be with us today, but he would want to know that he is a part of us today, and I know he'll feel a part of us as well. I know he feels a great spirit of forgiveness in himself, upon himself and upon all of us here. And I know he would want me to say right now, and thank you, God, and in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And we'll do place a little, yeah. What are you going to play?
Leading music, well, she loved jazz and she loved ragtime.
She loves jazz.
How about a little ragtime?
So we'll have a little this, and then if you all can join us for refreshments and pictures.
Go out the door and turn right, then turn right again, about halfway down the hall. Okay, for Grace, this is.
All right.
We want music all the time. Now she would say, you must have a lot of